Okay, hopefully we're live, but we just have to do our usual early morning checks to make sure we're actually online. Bear with. Let's just check. I'm going to refresh my TikTok first of all, and I'm going to check Instagram. It always takes a few minutes, doesn't it? It's really annoying. I can't see that we're live on TikTok.
Yeah, we're live on Instagram.
Instagram, perfect. TikTok, come on, TikTok, what are you doing? Ah, we're live. Perfect. Right, let me click on that and let me move this tab over here. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. There we go. Okay. Right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And welcome to the VA Live Lounge. Can you believe it? We're on episode 23 now, which is exciting. And today we're talking about planning for time off, which is really, it's really important and to have time off as a small business owner, whether you're a VA or not, but doesn't always feel possible when you're a solo VA. So we really want to talk today about how to make sure that is possible for you. And Kirsty's going to go away and book a holiday at the end of this, I am sure, because she needs it. And I think it was great last night. If you don't know and you're just tuning in, More Than a VA is our community for virtual assistants, but we have a membership. We have a VIP membership. And within our membership, you get access to the full system to build your business, but you also get access to masterclasses, business coffee chats and things like that. And we had one of our masterclasses, our end-of-month masterclass last night with an amazing lady called Heather McClellan. And she gave a talk about how to plan for time off when you're sick, you're ill or injured, but how to make sure you've got preparations in place before that even happens, what to do if it happens, and how you return to work successfully. And she's actually given us a whopping 30% discount on her services and courses. So I'm going to put that into the show notes so that people can, you know, have a look at what she's offering and make a plan. And I very much went on one of her courses and made a plan and made sure that people like Kirsty have access to things in my business. My husband's on my bank account so that the business can keep running without me if something happens. But so today we're going to cover this. And I know that it's important because from my perspective, I can go away whenever I like because I run an agency and I've got you. But you don't feel like you can. And that's quite common, I think, amongst small business owners.
For me, it is a real struggle. By the way, I'm taking Monday off. I don't know if I told you.
You didn't tell me. Who approved that?
I was thinking about this morning, right? And as a solo VA, it is really hard, but also because I am a control freak. And I openly admit that to anybody. And I think, and that is one of the things that really resonates with people when I speak to them, you know, new clients coming on board and things like that, that we are control freaks. And I just feel like if somebody was coming into my business, I'd have to for me to be able to go away. I don't know. It stresses me out. I find it really difficult to be able to. And also, I think in the back of my mind, if I didn't go down that route of having somebody, if I did go away for 2 weeks and, you know, I didn't take my laptop or my phone or whatever and just completely shut down, I'd be so worried what I was coming back to, B, if clients would get peed off and leave, or, you know, if something went wrong, nobody could get in contact with me. Like, I don't have that backup system. And that's something as solo VAs we don't think about. Like, it wouldn't, if I was to fall down and break my leg and I was in hospital for a month, what's going to happen? Like, I wouldn't be able to contact anybody. Like, I wouldn't have a me to pick up the pieces, if you see what I mean. So it's something to really think about as a solo VA.
It is, but I mean, then you have to ask yourself, what's the evidence to support your fears? Like, have you ever not taken time off and paid the price? Because as much as you're saying, oh, it could all go horribly wrong if I took time off from work, what's the price of not taking time off? You know, with your mental health, with needing a break, just to reset, like the cost of that could be really high and actually much worse than losing clients. I mean, I've had my own experience of this year. As you know, I went through like a real dark time, and I think it cost me a lot of clients in the end. And actually, had I just taken that time even just being a couple of weeks being honest with my clients and then come back, they'd probably still be here. So sometimes we have to flip it and think about the other complications that we can have by not taking time off. But I do get where you're coming from, because in my first business, which I ran for 10 years, I'll look back at that time and think, oh my God, I do not know how I survived. Because if I went on holiday, it was once a year for no more than a week. I still answered emails and calls. I absolutely panicked that my clients would go elsewhere. Actually, if you're having to have those kind of worries, you're probably not doing a very good job in the first place, because if your clients value you, they're not going to go anywhere. And as long as you make preparations, they would fully expect you to take time off. In fact, they should champion it because they want the best version of you. So we'll really uncover that today and kind of get past some of these fears. And if anybody's got any questions, then please pop those in the comments. And one of the questions I want to ask is, what would we say to a VA who thinks taking time off is a weakness? Because some people just think they got to hustle, they got to work really hard, and you're not a good business owner if you take time off. And we want to really move away from that hustle culture if we can. So there's some practical things you can do, I think, when you're taking time off, for VAs or any small business owner that's working solo and remotely. And also, I know I take my laptop everywhere with me. When I go abroad, I take it with me. And that's not necessarily to work. I like to do like projects and things, but then you have got it there just in case, haven't you? I mean, you started without a laptop, didn't you?
I did, unfortunately. Worst mistake ever.
But do you not think, like, would you not take your laptop away and know that that's there if you needed it?
But then that creeps in that control freak thing, isn't it? Because, you know, I sort of struggle to have that separation from I'll just have a quick look. You know, we've all done it. Just have a quick look, see what, and then that one email leads to 2 emails and backwards and forwards, and I'll just check my WhatsApp. And I don't think, as somebody that is a huge control freak and a solo VA, that you can avoid that temptation personally, because there is that fear of, and not, this is no judgment on my client. My clients are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. And when I had COVID, I was still working. And one of my clients said to me, I'm not communicating with you anymore because you're ill. You just need some R&R. She literally put stop work. And they would all be understanding. It's not them, it's me, because, you know, and I think it's because I've worked so hard to get here to this point that I wouldn't do anything to sacrifice that hard work. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think that, again, this is personal to you and the way you feel, and it's a mindset shift that you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take that time, and like you've just said, your client actually encouraged it. Probably because you might not have been showing up as the best version of yourself at that time. Just bear with me. I've lost TikTok. Where's that gone? Lost the TikTok. Let me just make sure I've got that back up, because people often ask questions on TikTok, and I don't want to lose that. So one moment, make sure I've got it up. Here it is. So many screens, just so many screens. And if anyone's got any questions on any channel, then, you know, let us know. But you are allowed to have a rest, and there are benefits of having planned time off as well, like productivity, creativity, your mental health. Think about things like, do you know when you like go for a walk? When I go for a walk and I take like the dog for a walk, I have the best ideas because I've taken time away from my desk, away from technology, away from just all of the distractions, and all of these amazing thoughts come into my mind then. So does that ever happen to you? Do you ever have the opportunity?
Yeah, my best ideas come to me when I'm in the shower in the morning. And that's not, but probably because I probably don't take enough breaks during the day, and I don't take enough time away from the screen and that kind of thing. But that is my kind of thinking time. And you know, I think it's difficult as well, because my partner works funny shifts, and you know, he's very kind of dedicated to his work and all that kind of thing. So we've never really sort of sat back and gone, well, let's actually plan something. We always go, oh, we need to go on holiday, and we go, yeah, and then nothing really happens. So I think you're right. You have to change your mindset with it, and actually go, well, let's not just sit and talk about it, let's actually do it. And then that encouragement will, will for me be like, right, I can take this week off, or probably wouldn't stretch to 2 weeks because that would just freak me out. But do you know what I mean? If you actually plan for it, and I know that I could rely on you to look after my clients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's about letting go of that control part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just control though. It's fear. It's fear that your clients will leave you, they'll go elsewhere, they'll find somebody else. But I think if you plan it properly, it can be done. The key is to make sure you're giving your clients plenty of notice. So there's a big run up to the time that you take off and they know it's coming. And then it's using things like calendar blockers, auto responders, internal reminders. There's lots of things we can do now with technology that is going to enable you to almost feel like you're still available, but you're not. And then it's setting those clear expectations in your welcome pack when you onboard clients. It's making sure that they know up front that you are somebody who's going to take time off, making sure it's in your contracts about your availability and the time that you're going to take. And actually, we talked about this in our masterclass last night. You don't necessarily have to scale into a full-blown agency and work with associates to be able to get support that way. You can buddy up with another VA and kind of pass that work back and forth, between one another. And like you've just said, you could easily give your clients to me while you're off, or to one of our team. One of our members in our community has actually done that. She's got another VA she's kind of working with, and they can just pass work between one another. What do you think to that idea for taking time off?
Yeah, no, I think that is a good idea, and that's not something that I'd ever really thought about. But and I often find when we do these the live lounge, I always think, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So sometimes I have ideas and I don't really bash them out between anybody. I just sort of go, yeah, no, that's a really shit idea, don't do that. But that is a good idea, to buddy up with somebody, to actually have somebody that if you were to have something that you had to take time off for that you hadn't planned for, you have got somebody that can just pick it up for you. You haven't got to explain anything. They can just kind of pick up from you where you've left off, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose the question is, how far in advance do you need to let clients know that you're going away? Have you got any ideas? And if anybody's listening, if you've done this and you do take time off, how far in advance do you tell clients? What would you say?
So in my contract with my private clients, I have a 6-month notice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably quite long, but it was more because I don't know really why I did it for so long. I think it was just because I wanted to make sure that they had plenty of notice.
Yeah.
That I would be away for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever. But short, 1 or 2 days, whatever, is not actually in the contract, because it's 1 or 2 days. It's not like a long period. They can survive that for a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've put that in the contract.
That's good, but I would say a month. I think you don't need to give people any more than a month's notice, really. You're going away next month. I think that's more than enough time, especially because you can batch your work. Like, you could double up during that month on their work, so it's all done in advance. So actually, and with automation, that can all be done. So it's almost like you're still there. I think it is important to make sure you've got your systems set up correctly when you're working solo. So things like scheduling all your social media posts, your email newsletters, making sure, like we've just said, you can batch up on your client work, so kind of double up on that work in advance. So if you normally do 1 week's social media, you do 2 weeks, for example. And I think, having a good CRM system in place, I think all of these things can help your business keep moving in the background. Yeah. I mean, think about the tools you use for your business. What tools do you use that could be beneficial into helping you plan your time off?
Mainly the social media. So you can schedule social media so far in advance now, can't you? That you can. I mean, I've done a load this week for a client that they wanted 6 weeks worth of posts.
Yeah.
Done, prepped, and scheduled. So now for the next 6 weeks, I don't have to do any of that because it's all done. So there are tools and things like that. I think for me, it's more of a worry that if something went wrong and I wasn't available, or that they go, actually, I can do this on my own now. I don't need her anymore. So I think that's the big fear.
That's funny, actually, because I think the opposite would happen. I think they would realise how much they needed you and be really grateful when you come back. So it really is a proper mindset shift, isn't it? You know, when I go away, I always have this thing that I'm going to catch up on so many things, but I actually fully chill and find it difficult to actually work. Although I am good at doing that if I need to. So what I often do is take my laptop. I've got an iPad mini as well, which I could just put in a little handbag and it's gone everywhere with me. And as you know, I'll travel for 5 months and worked and continued to grow the business. And I was still able to do that. I was actually flicking through some photos today and seeing all the places my laptop has been because I've taken pictures of it. And it's worked so well. I've been in lots of different time zones that are completely different to where we are. And it can really work if you're worried like you are, and you just do, like, I don't know, your compromises. You go away, you maybe have the first week off. I think I did this. I went on a Caribbean cruise last year. And what I did was the first week I worked on that cruise. So I would just do things like I pay for the Wi-Fi package. I'd get up early in the morning, I'd start work, and then I would have like shorter working days. And so I still had the rest of, like, I don't know, maybe from 2 o'clock onwards, that was holiday time. The second week I didn't work. So my clients didn't really feel that. Then like 1 week is not awful. So you can compromise and say, well, I'm going to go away for 2 weeks, but I'm just going to do reduced time for the first week and take the second week off. But there are other things you can do. You don't have to just fully go. This isn't all about just going on holiday. You could have like just quiet periods where instead of a full shutdown, you just reduce time for a while. So you say, you know, next week I'm going to be working like half days, or I'm going to have a day off here or a day off there. Just give you that time back, especially if you feel like you're getting close to like burnout. And then just make sure you set those expectations really clearly. So you could be saying things like, I take the last week of August off every year, so they always know it's coming. And that would work really well for people like parents that have got children in school. And then you could even offer like reduced check-in hours instead of a full-time presence. So you could say, like in your case, I'm going on holiday. However, I'm going to be offering check-in time in case you really need me between these hours every day. And I'll bet you none of your clients would check in.
No, I doubt. I think you're right. But my question to you would be, so when you do that, you know, you do reduced hours for the first week, and then the second week just absolutely like didn't work at all. How do you stop yourself going, I'll just have a quick look? Like, do you find it's like a hard thing to overcome, or do you just literally
No, not now. Only because I've learned from experience and I value my time. Like I value my time with my children. And I think once you do relax, you're so relaxed, you're not even thinking about it. And in some ways, you don't want to be checking in with work. And it's not like you can get away from it. I mean, with your phone, you see emails popping up and things like that. But I just set my hours out of office. And I just don't respond. But I do have that knowledge. I think one of the reasons I can relax more is I know that people are going to come to you. And that's just by having an auto response that says, I'm away at the moment. If it's urgent, please contact so-and-so. And that's why having a buddy system or someone you can rely on is worth having, because they're only going to contact you if it's really urgent. And if you trust someone, then why wouldn't you do that? But honestly, none of my clients have ever contacted me whilst I've been on holiday ever and said, oh, you can't wait, it's an emergency, ever. So
I think that's, you know, that's a good way to be, isn't it? That your clients know that you're on holiday. And actually, if I think about it, if I did say I was away, none of my clients would probably contact me. It's not a them issue, it's a me issue. It's that shutdown, isn't it? That letting go of control. And as business owners, which we are, whether you're an agency or a solo VA, you are a business owner. That's quite a natural thing to feel, I think.
It is natural. And actually, we've got somebody on TikTok, Mardua, who said, I haven't gone away because I'm scared they might not need me. And I think that's just so common. And that's what I experienced for 10 years in my first business. But actually, they're so relieved to have you back. And it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I hate you doing this work. You know, in some ways, it's really beneficial to take that time off to remind your clients why they need you in the first place. And I think if you don't do that, they're just going to, I think in some ways they won't remember how valuable you are. I actually spoke about this. I think I did a post. I can't remember what it was that I did. And I had this thought, and it was because I have a lot of clients that I don't have any now, but I had a lot of clients that I didn't speak to from day to day. I just got on and did the work, and I wouldn't really check in because we just got so used to one another.
Yeah.
But actually, they stopped remembering how valuable I was to them, and kind of thought, oh, I could do that. And even with you, Kirsty, like everything you do for me, I asked you recently to put that down, like write it down. So I wanted to think about anything more I could add to your plate. And then when I saw what you did, I wasn't even really aware that you were doing all of those things. I
wasn't. No, this is the thing, isn't it? When you actually list it down, you don't realise. And actually, you know, as you say, you know, when your clients become so used to you being there, they almost forget that you're there.
Yeah, definitely they do, and that's the problem. That's why you should be checking in regular. But it works the same way with going on holiday. You know, if you're always there and always available, it kind of makes them forget what you do in the first place. Whereas if you're checking in regularly, or you do a really good job and then you go on holiday, they're going to appreciate you when you come back. So I do think that's really important. I would like to ask people in the audience if they've ever had a client not respect their time off. So have you been in that situation where you've taken time off and a client hasn't respected it? I can only remember one incident where I did have a client, but I'm struggling to remember if it was. I'm pretty sure I had told him I was going away. I was actually in Belgium at the time, and he did call me about something, and I had to step out. I was at the war cemetery, and he to berate me really about something. But I was a bit more inexperienced then, and kind of took that on the chin. But afterwards, I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take time away from my family to have clients not respect. And one of the worst things that bosses can do, managers can do, clients can do, is act like everything's an emergency.
Yeah.
What is an emergency that it just can't wait? There's nothing really that's an emergency that can't wait. Not unless, what on earth could it possibly be?
I completely agree with you. And I have had a client that I was actually away. Well, I was actually on holiday. I don't know who went away. I think it was before we moved here.
Yeah.
And they would ring me continuously until I answered. And the problem with something like that is, and my sister at the moment is going through something horrendous with somebody that she works with, and she was away recently, and they sent her an email, which naturally would almost, your worry just naturally sets in. And I remember at that time constantly ringing, WhatsApp messages about, I'm not answering, I'm not going to look at WhatsApp messages. But that then in my head, this was at the beginning of my holiday, and I remember thinking, something must be really wrong. Like something must have been horrendous. And all I did for that time, that very short period during that one day, was worry.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and thought, you know what, I may as well just deal with it now, and then I can just bugger off and just not worry about it for the rest of the thing. And I can't remember what it was. It was something really minimal that could have waited, or he could have dealt with it, but he didn't. And the problem is if you answer that call, you're doomed. Because that you will worry, and that we were answered the last time, so I'll just ring you and check in on this. And it's about having that that confidence to say, I am actually on holiday. Would I ring you on your holiday? No. You would try and deal with it as best as you could. So I think it is difficult, but you do have to have that confidence to say, I am on holiday.
It's about using the right language, isn't it? So it's making sure that you give clients as much notice as you can. And I think 6 months is too long, because if you book a last minute holiday or something like that, then, you've almost undermined your own terms. So I do think having something like, I try to give a minimum of 6 months. However, I can give as little as 1 month's notice. Remember, it's your terms, it's your business. You can do what you like. And if they don't like that at the start, then they can go elsewhere. And actually, if a client isn't willing to sign up under those terms, then they're probably not the right client for you in the first place, if they're going to have an issue with that. But then it's using that language and saying, I'm going to be going away at this so-and-so date. I won't be available. My time off is really important to me, and I want to be spending that with my family. And then reminding them on the run-up, but then your out of office should also be really clear. Have you ever seen those out of office responses where it actually says, there's some that aren't even for holidays. They say, I don't work on a Friday, or I have finished work for the day and I would appreciate, something like, my time is very important to me, and so therefore I will not be responding to any inquiries until my working hours, and so and so. And I think that's really clear, and it actually tells you, because then what that person's not going to do is then ring you, because you've made it really clear. And this is another reason why having a business phone is so important, because you could set up like WhatsApp Business, you can have an auto reply on there as well. So it's making sure that as long as you have told your clients you're going away, you're not going to be available, and you've reiterated that message, and then you kind of put gatekeepers in place. Out of office, your WhatsApp chat, your Instagram chat, whatever that might be. So everywhere they try to get hold of you, it's just blocked. You don't even know they're trying to get in touch with you then. So there wouldn't be as much fear there, or in your case, much worry, because you've put that many kind of like gatekeepers in place that you don't know they're trying to get hold of you. And I'll tell you something now, by the time you get home, they'll have sorted out whatever the emergency was.
Forgotten about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is important. And I just personally think if you've got a client that doesn't respect your time off, they're probably not a good client. I've had some amazing clients, and there was one, Kirsty, she was brilliant. She'd always say, oh my God, amazing, where you going? When you come back, let's have a chat, tell me all about it. That's the client you want.
It is. And like, one of my clients said to me the other day, like, what are you doing around Christmas? Are you going away? You've got family, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, not really. I'm probably going to work right up to Christmas, and then like probably in between, and then, take some time off to be with my family and stuff. And he was like, you do need to take a holiday next year. Like, don't worry, I'll be absolutely fine. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but will you?
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's about having that conversation, isn't it? Because clients are human beings at the end of the day, and they will notice that you haven't taken, if you've worked with them for a long time and you haven't taken any time off, they will be like, are you not going away this year? Or like, got anything planned? No, nothing. And they will probably say to you, you do need to take some time off. Like, you should be able to like go away and not worry and that thing. So I think it is client dependent as well.
Yeah, it is. But I just think that there's other things you can do practically, right? It's about money, finances. So one of the fears is I haven't got the money, because one of the worst things when you work solo is that the minute you don't work, you're not earning money. So that's a really relevant fear. But you should be putting money away. So you should always have 3 months' money at any given time in the bank anyway, just in case of emergencies, just in case you do need to take time off, just in case you're sick or somebody else in your family is sick and you've got to go care for them. So I would just advise anybody, I know it's a struggle in the beginning, but even if you're putting away £50 a month, £100 a month, whatever your outgoings are, you want 3 months of that in the bank. And so, I said to you, even something like we put away, my husband and I have always put away £150 a month every month for Christmas ever since we met. So it's well over it's well over £1,000. I can't remember how much it is in total because my maths is rubbish. But at the end of that year, we don't worry about Christmas. Well, you could do exactly the same for your business. And at the end of year one, you've now got the money to cover you in that week that you're off. So it is something that you should definitely be planning for, and know you've got that time. But what it also does is cover you if a client does leave for any reason. And I just don't think the fear of a client leaving you is a good enough reason not to go away, because it's not just going away, it's taking that time so you don't burn out and that you're looking after yourself. And oh my God, we started our businesses so we could do what we want when we want, and then all of a sudden you're not. You might as well have a boss if you're so worried about clients. But there are other things you can have. Recovery time. So let's say you've got a client that does launches, like they launch big programs, and you're part of that project. I think it's really important, if you're on that journey with them and you know it's going to be a few months of graft, you plan for some time at the end of that just to reset and recover and just take a couple of days. It's things like the school holidays. There are a lot of VAs that already set up and say, I'm only going to work term time, not going to work in school holidays. And I think especially if you're going to get another parent, if that could actually help you get your dream client, because there's a lot of clients that also don't work during term time, it's like school holidays. So that would suit them perfectly. So maybe aligning yourself with the right client that way. You should take mental health days. What if you had Fridays off? Now, on Fridays in my business, I don't have clients now, but I stopped working Fridays. It was a business day, and I loved it. I always loved to do it. So it was just my day to work on the business and not to work with clients. So it's not always about taking holidays. All the other things, all the other reasons you might need a day off for, and I think you don't take enough time off, really.
No, I don't. And I think that's what's kind of prompted me, like Monday. My partner's got the day off. Imi's going to Exeter with her friends, so she's going to it's her last day of her school holiday. And, and I always say to her as well, she's 16 in November, so she doesn't really want to be hanging around with me too much anyway. But I always say to her, look, half term's coming up. Do you need to book some time out? She's like, well, I just want to be with my friends or be at home or whatever. So that's fine. So I always have that covered. So if she ever wants to spend time with me, then I do, or we'll book it, an afternoon or whatever. But I think, I sat the other day and I thought, do you know what? I think I just might take the day off on Monday. I think was it yesterday or day before? And I thought, because I can do that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't worry me. My phone's on and I will check, WhatsApps and whatnot, because I do have a few clients that want ad hoc work. But I just thought, I'm just going to have a 3-day weekend. Like, I'm just going to just have a 3-day weekend, probably take the dogs to the beach, might go out for lunch, just have a me day kind of thing with my partner in tow, obviously. But and I think it is good to do that. And actually, I've actually thought about maybe dropping a day a week, just to have that, not to do anything specific unless I particularly wanted to. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, with Christmas coming up and Amy's birthday coming up, and we've got loads of birthdays in the family at the minute, it might just be nice to have a day at home doing the boring stuff that we all have to do, or not, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's such a good attitude to have. And look, workplaces now, you join big corporate companies now, they've got all this built in, all these
they have
mental health days and things like that. We're so much more knowledgeable about it now. It's important to plan ahead. You're not a robot, a machine. It's going to hit you at some point. If you're not taking a break, it's going to impact you in a very negative way. So you should have some sort of a document, even if it's just for you, that says, this is what I'm going to do. If, like, for me now, I realized that one of the issues I was facing this year was burnout. So I now recognize the symptoms of that. I didn't before. If I felt that happening, I know what I need to do next time, so that I don't make the same mistakes and that I take that time for me. I do think building an agency is a great thing, because in my case, I don't really have clients now. You don't handle everything. You handle the clients, you handle the VAs. And all this week I haven't worked because I'm actually opening a business, a physical business where I live. So I'm opening a co-working business, and I've been needed there to project manage, to build furniture and all sorts. And just knowing that I can do that and I can take that time it makes me feel more successful than any money I could make, because I've built a business that gives me that freedom. And that's what we want, isn't it? We want a business that gives us freedom.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this, I think, a couple of episodes ago, that actually if I look back now, I would have probably had would have probably done whatever hours. I'd have probably just had somebody to do like 5 hours a month or whatever.
Yeah.
Because then you can relax, and and it's about building that trust with somebody that you can go, actually, we've just booked holiday, we're going away for a week, and not have to worry about that. And I would encourage anybody that's starting out to have somebody like that you can just start to build trust with, that you can rely on if you did need to go into hospital or needed to go away for the weekend or look after your kids or whatever it is, that you do have somebody that can just pick everything up and make decisions on your behalf. I would definitely encourage that.
Yeah, it is something you so need to do. I mean, I've spoke about this, like when what happened to me in my first business was I just ran it on my own, solo. I can still remember how traumatic that was. Like, there were times where I was crying, shaking. I thought my world was going to fall apart. What am I going to do? Like, I'd let clients down, and it was all because I thought I was the only person who could do it. No one could do it better than me. If my back was against the wall, I'd ask family members to help, and they were the worst people. They were not the right people to help. It just meant that I ended up losing customers. And then it wasn't until I'd had IVF and we were successful and we were having a baby and it was all brilliant. But I was still crazily, jumping in and out of a massive van with heels on, was pregnant, trying to do it all, and then found out that our baby was going to be really poorly and would be fighting for his life when he was born. And that made me change everything. And at that point, I took on my first employee. I subcontracted to a couple of businesses and to 10 ladies that work from home. And I had a business that suddenly started to scale because I'd stepped out of the way. It also meant after that, I could go on holiday and I could do these things. All of these things, all these years I've been putting off, you're never going to get that time back. You are literally never going to get that time. This is your one and only life. It's your business. It's your rules. And you have to create a business. Yeah, I went in our challenge. So we do an Earn More, Work Less challenge, and our next one's going to be December. And in that challenge, we talk about this, your ultimate work-life balance. What did you start your business for? What does that freedom look like? And plan your business around that. I think part of the problem is a lot of VAs, they need more clients, so they start to push more of their own boundaries. Let's say you start a business and you say, I'm only going to work 4 days, but all of a sudden you compromise that 5th day because you feel like it's going to help you get more money. It's just like selling your soul to the devil, I think.
It is difficult, and I think you have to be a strong person when you do make that decision to reduce time down or to sort of schedule things in. But when you make that decision, you do have to stick to it. And I think also you touched there about you've got to that point where you like burnout and there was so much going on for you.
Yeah.
But in like a business side, like what were the signs for you? Like what did you feel like you just got to that point where you're like, I've got to take some time out?
For me, what happened to me was it was like a slow. I got to January this year, and I felt really, really low, really down, and I didn't know what, because normally after Christmas, I'm like buzzing, like this a new year, new start, new goals, get your new shiny book out, and all of this, and that wasn't happening. And I didn't know why that wasn't happening. And so I put it down to, it's just January blues, Christmas has just ended. I had a couple of weeks off. It's hard to get back into it. You'll be fine by February. February came and it wasn't fine. And I realised something was wrong, but I couldn't work out what it was. And it wasn't just my business. It was a combination of lots of things going on at the time. I was moving house. There was issues with the children at school and that kind of thing. But the weirdest thing that happened was I couldn't open my emails anymore. I just didn't want to read the emails. I didn't want to read the texts. I didn't want to listen to the phone calls. I was so unreasonably afraid of what I would face. And then I stopped actually doing any work. Like, I wasn't saying to clients that I wasn't available or I was going on holiday. I was literally just barely showing up. And then that compounded that kind of anxiety of not being able to open emails, and because then I was worried the clients are going to think, where is she? And then I was getting clients saying things to me like, I've messed up, or are you okay? I even had a client send me a message saying, are you okay? You don't seem okay. And then I was showing up on, if I did show up on calls, if I remembered to show up, I couldn't remember what we were talking about. And I thought all of this was perimenopause. And then it wasn't until I kind of hit a rock bottom and started to reflect, I realized that this was more about, I'd just done so much and been taken on so much that I hadn't taken any time out at all to just stop and say, you know what, the minute I felt unwell in myself, I should have stopped and taken time just to think about what was wrong. But I pushed through, and I think pushing through is not always the best solution.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And I think as well, we've all had nightmare clients, but I think it was last year. And, I think I burnt out last year because I remember my partner was off on a day's leave. And I remember just staying in the bedroom, and I just physically couldn't come into this environment because I had a client who was bombarding me continuously, and it knocked my confidence. My confidence was so low.
Yeah.
And I just remember being in the bedroom, because that was my safe space. And I remember sitting there going, I'm going to have to take a month off, because I can't figure out how I've got to this point. And I remember being in there for hours, just stood there shaking for hours, just saying, I can't leave this room. Like, because I'd burnt out, and also because I had that continuous person, what's happening this, blah, 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 blah. And in the end, you do have to listen to your body, because I stood in that room and I thought, and that is very unlike me. And I said to Craig, I'm going to have to speak to Lisa and say, she's going to have to cover me for a month, because I cannot do this. I just literally physically, nothing, it physically wouldn't, my body just wouldn't let me come in this room. It was the most bizarre feeling. And like you, I pushed through it all. And actually what I should have done was said to you, I can't, I've got to take some time out. It might not have been a month. I might have just needed a week or 2 weeks to just reset, figure things out, and that's probably my best advice. If your body's telling you you're heading towards burnout, listen to it and take that time off, because it's a slippery slope from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what could have happened to you is you might have ended up just giving up completely, not taking that time. And obviously, please, anytime you need me to take over your clients, that I'll do that for you. But it is like, that's when you start to say, you know what, I'm going to take some days here and there, just to sit and think and reassess, because we're so in the weeds of the business. We're not assessing what's going on with our mental health, and we're not thinking about it. I mean, I did get to a point where I started to really think about what was happening. My rock bottom was my dad passed away, and I ended up having to go to Thailand, where we lived, to deal with things. And there was just a lot of family crap. And it was probably, I ended up on my own for a week there, and it was what I needed. It was, I say I hit rock bottom, but actually I just had a week by myself with no distractions. That's all right. No interruptions. And I could focus. And sometimes that's what you need. You just need a week on your own. And I think as well, if you're feeling like you just need to escape, that's a big red flag, whether it's from work or your family. Go book that caravan, go book that lodge, go book that spa, whatever it is, just go and take that time out and think about what you need to do, and come back and make promises to yourself. Make a document, make a contract with yourself. I'm going to come back and I'm only going to work this many hours. I'm only going to do this, because you are never going to get that time back. You don't know what that long-term stress can do to your body. Is it worth it?
I think the difficult thing is, as VAs, we are generally people pleasers. And I think the problem is that you don't prioritize yourself, because you are a people pleaser. And I think when those feelings do start to come around, you do have to listen. But I think you're right. I think I'm very much a list person. And I think I generally will sit and write stuff out that's in my head, if I've got an idea or anything like that. And you're right. And there has been points where I've actually stuck a note on my desk to say, just keep going. And that's not for anybody. That's just for me. And sometimes I say, right, come on, just keep going. You're fine, blah, blah, blah. But to have something like a document to say, I am only going to work Monday to Thursday, or I am only going to work 12 till 4, is a reminder that you're looking after yourself as well as your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it funny, because if you just started your business and Imi, your daughter, was only like 3, you would have put provisions in place to work only certain hours. It's just that your life changed and your daughter's older and she doesn't need you as much, that you've made yourself fully available. But actually, we kind of don't see those invisible boundaries that are already there. We just have to remember we can implement them. It doesn't have to be put there because of life. Oh, my child's only this old, so that's what I can work. Oh, my child's older now, I can work more. It's none of it's real. You can create your own boundaries.
Yeah, that's right. And it's, there's some days where, it's been, like I say, she's been off for a couple of weeks, and I've not been normally I'd get up at like 7 and I'd sort the dogs out and we get to school and all that. But I've been getting up at 8. Some days I think I'm not going to start till 10, and my partner say, haven't you got any work to do? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to start. I can start and finish whenever I like. Like I don't answer to anybody. And that's the freedom I wanted, because I was in a really shitty environment before I chose to do this. And honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think that's why I have that mindset of I can't take any time off because people rely on me. Whereas, you know, when I was in that toxic environment, when I was in full-time employment, you became the person that everybody relied on, and that's how I feel now. But I think, you know, you do this for a reason, to have that work-life balance, and to actually go, do you know what, actually, I'm not working Monday, I'm going to go to the beach, or I'm going to go and do whatever it is, do the hoovering, or whatever it is you want to do, because that's why you did this, to be able to, you don't have to answer to anybody. You're your own boss, you're a business owner. You don't have to go, oh, in a week's time, can I have half a day because I've got to go and do this? You can just go, actually, I'm not going to work on Monday because I want to go do this.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, what if you can't ask your client for permission? It's your bloody business. They've signed
exactly.
What if instead you looked at what the legislation is like in the UK? What is it? Do we get like 23 days a year, something like that? I can't remember. And you just said that is in your contract, and that's what you're going to take. And I bet you, if you looked at your mindset, went, "What? I want more than that. Like, I'm running my own business. I'm not an employee." You know, it's funny that you give yourself less time than you would if you were employed. So, what if you just incorporated that into your business and said, "I take this much time off per year, and I will give you plenty of notice." I mean, if you were employed now, you would be taking that annual leave. Yeah.
You would be, but again, it's not something as business owners you think about, is it? But if you think about a business owner, if you were in full-time employment, they take 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, and they're a business owner. So why do we, you know, I mean, it depends what sort of person you are, I know. But as somebody like me, why don't I just go, actually, I'm going to take 2 weeks off and, you know, let my clients know and give them plenty of notice. And I've got that backup system if I need it. And, you know, I know that everybody would be well looked after. But it doesn't enter your head.
No.
I don't think.
And the thing is, like you've said, your partner's got quite upset with you about it. Is it really worth the most important thing to you in your life is your family, not your client? And so what you're compromising your family dynamic for your client. That makes no logical sense, does it, when you think about it?
No, it doesn't. But I think from that kind of was because from a financial point of view, I think as well. Yeah. Because, you know, if I take 2 weeks off, I don't earn for 2 weeks. You know, I'm not going to have an assistant who I pay, or, you know, an associate, and not pay them for looking after my clients, if you see what I mean. You know what? They're not doing work to earn me money. So I think that was a very conscious thing as well. You know, particularly it was 2 whole weeks off. You know, that's half a month. That's half my income, right? To be able to, and then all I would, and I think in my head, I was like, if I come back, all I'm going to do is worry about work. When I come back, I'm going to try and double up, so I can reclaim that 2 weeks I've just lost, or a week or whatever, a week's worth of money, to be able to get back into a situation where I could, again, go away if I wanted to.
Yeah. Why don't you set yourself a challenge then for the new year, because we're not far off, where you say to yourself, from January, I'm going to start putting away, I know you like to spend your money, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start putting away X amount of money every month, even if it's like £100 a month for 6 months. And then what's that? By June, I've promised my partner we are going to go on a 1 week holiday, and you'll have £600 in the bank by then to cover you for that 1 week. It might not even be that you make £600 a month, a week anyway. It might be less than that. But you then do it that way. Give yourself that week off. You know you've got the money in the bank. You don't have to then give your clients to anyone else because it's only 1 week. And then see how that goes. And once you've got that evidence within you to go, actually, that was okay, my clients were really happy when I come back, you could continue to do that and then go away next time for a little bit longer. Or even look at, you know, the option of some of that time you work while you're away, and some of it you don't. Maybe early in the morning you do some work, because one of the things I'll do is I'm quite rigid in my in my time. So I get up at 6:30 and start work at 7 every single morning. And so, but then I'll stop about 9 or 8:30 and I'll go and I'll walk the dog. So even then, while your family's still sleeping in bed, you could do, 7 till 10. When we went to Belgium, I'd do 7 till 10 every day. And then we'd go out all day, and then I'd do a little bit in the evening because I didn't officially take time off. And the clients didn't notice. So how do you feel about doing that?
Yeah, I think that is definitely an option. And I think when, we talked about it, I did say at the time, I can take my laptop, I can get up early in the morning, which I rarely do anyway. I can do a couple of hours, and then I can do a couple of hours at night, and again have everything scheduled in social media post wise, or whatever. So I think, but I think because of the attachment to the fact that I wasn't generally off for the whole 2 weeks became the issue, which then implanted that issue in my head. But that is an option, and I think that was one of the reasons why I got the laptop, because I did buy a desktop when I first started out, which I would advise nobody to do because it's a complete waste of time. You're better off doubling up your money and getting a really shit hot laptop, because it was the best investment I've ever done, because it means that not only can I move around the house and work, but I can go to Costa and have a coffee and work and all that kind of thing. And that's the flexibility you have when you have a laptop, but just make sure you're restricting your time that you spend. So go 6:30, like 7 till 10, that's when I'm going to work. And then in the evening, 7 till 10, the same. And then you're still covering if you feel like you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And it is a conversation you have to have with your partner as well. There does have to be some compromises, like you've said. Okay, it would have been too difficult for you at the time to take a full 2 weeks off, and that compromise might not have been there. But that your partner does have to be supportive and understand that you are running a business. It's very different to being employed, and that you might be needed a little bit more than they would be needed. We've got a few questions on TikTok just to go through, which aren't related at all to what we're talking about. So I'm going to be brief in the responses. So we've got somebody who's asked, let me just check what their question was. Can we help them land a client? They're a self-taught VA, executive assistant with finance knowledge. We always talk about niching. So if you have got experience in finance, then you should absolutely, and that's what you like doing and you're passionate about, then you should absolutely be niching into that sector. So I would be looking to work with people that have developed their own accounting agencies. So there's loads of, on Instagram in particular, there's loads and loads of accountants that aren't your normal corporate stuffy accountants. These are people that are selling courses as well. I'd be looking to work with people like that who would definitely need a VA. And really, you could be offering bookkeeping you have to be really careful. I don't know what country you're in, but you have to be really careful about the finance rules depending on the country you're in. But you could be offering that kind of support, so admin plus finance, which some VAs can't offer. So I think that would help your niche. Would you have any advice for that one?
No, I think you're right. I think you do have to have a niche, but you just have to. I mean, are they actually in the process of landing the client, or are they just looking to
asking how to land clients? So yeah, I think this is the number one question. I'm actually running a workshop in January, on January 30th, called How to Get Clients, because it is the one thing we get asked all the time.
Yeah.
So if you want to, I'm currently running a £100 off offer if you join my waiting list. So if you want to get on the waiting list, head to the link in the bio, and then you're going to be able to join the waiting list for that workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop online to help you to get clients. But ultimately, niching is a great way to do that, because you're not then competing with absolutely everybody doing the same thing. And it means you can go after your target client. I mean, one of our members, we've spent some time together recently chatting about her niche, and it was very confused niche. And then finally she settled on something that is perfect for her, and she's already seeing a ripple effect because she's now targeting people in that particular industry, not even necessarily just to get clients, but with some asking them for feedback about things, and they're communicating with her, and that's helping her build a rapport. So I think that's why it's really important to niche. Michael has said, when I'm burnt out, I just stop. But what about stopping before you get burnout? Yeah. So having that plan before you get there, because ultimately we don't want to get to burnout, do we? We want that not to happen. Somebody's asked about do you do training on how to become a VA? I know there's loads of training providers out there for this. Personally, I think if you've already got admin skills, you've got project management skills, you don't need to train as a VA. You just need to know the right tools. You need to know where to get clients. We've got a free membership. So if you go to the link in the bio, the VA Vault, you can access that. We have our membership as well. So we have a Growth Essentials membership, which gives you the system you need to build your business. And then the VIP access, which also then gives you masterclasses and things like that. Doors to that are closed at the moment, but we do have a waiting list. But there are some out there. On my grid, actually, Let me just check. There is, what's the name of, I'm not sure what country you're in. That's always worth asking, isn't it? But let me just look at this academy. I think Affluence Academy. So you could check those guys out for training if you do want to go down that route. Can you help me with courses I can take? The same thing, I would say, check out Affluence Academy, and please can you help me find employers that hire a VA from Africa? I'm not sure about that. I think I would be looking locally. I understand from previous people that have spoken to us from Africa that there's some reluctance to work with people remotely, but I would be looking on LinkedIn at local businesses to you so that you can reach out to them and introduce yourself as someone who's local and try that. I think I'll have to put something together for people in like Africa to be able to, you know, give you an idea of where you can go. There's Fiverr as well, so you can list your services on Fiverr and try that way. But yeah, that's what I can offer right now. Well, I hope today has been helpful in thinking about this. And as I say, one of the conversations we had yesterday with Heather McClellan, who gave her masterclass, if you do end up joining the VIP Access membership, you can get the replay. And she had her own experience of running a business. She built an agency. She had about 35 associates and then found out she'd had a stroke and she had this condition and had to then just stop, take time. Ultimately ended up selling the business and having to start again. And so she's built out this this whole training on how you plan so that this doesn't happen to you, but what you do if it does, how you then recover and how you return to work. And it's really, really, really in-depth stuff that I didn't know about, because we all take out as VAs insurance. We go to like Policy B or something. We all take out insurance. That just covers you for business insurance. What about directors insurance? What about covering you for a loss of income, you know, when you're away? What about if you're on a flipping ventilator and you can't speak, but you still got to pay your suppliers? Who's going to do that for you? Who accesses your bank account? So it's all of those things that we don't think about. And I will put that link in to the comments on Instagram when I put this back on the grid, and I'll put it in the show notes for the podcast next week so that you can get 30% discount on Heather's course. But yeah, I think that's been useful, and I hope it's given you food for thought, Kirsty, and you go off and book a holiday.
I will certainly think about it, but I also will do like what you've just done for me, you know, give you access to everything, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just having your wishes written somewhere so we know, you know, what happens. It's really funny because at the minute my wish would be that the business would continue and my husband wouldn't know how to run the business. So you'd be running the business, and so he would have to then work with you rather than me on what happens next. But you do need that plan in place.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And again, you know, if anything happened to me, I don't think Craig would have any clue, and Nimi's not interested. I keep saying to her, well, you know, when you're ready to start work, you can start working with me. She's like, absolutely not. So she would be interested. So I'll nominate you.
Yeah, nominate me. That's fine. We can sort something out. But yeah, so anyway, go away, have a great weekend, relax, don't work, and think about, think about what to do about taking time off, making sure you've got some sort of an agreement with clients when they come on board, so that if you do want to take time in the future, you've got something in place that tells them that you're going to give them notice. And think about things like you became self-employed for freedom, so take it. Sustainable businesses have space built in for rest, and your clients will respect you more if you respect your own boundaries. So we'll be back next week on Friday at 10, and we'll see you then.